What is up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals? My name's Naomi. Welcome to House of Miscellania. Today I'm coming at you with a WIP and chat. WIP stands for work in progress, and I have some things here in front of me which I will go over. First, I will say to any of you who are joining me for the first time, welcome. Those of you who are coming back to see me, welcome back. It is great to see you. It has been a week since my last WIP and chat, and so I'm ready to get going. I do want to disclaimer a little bit. Sounds might be a little different this time than normal. I have a window air conditioner running, so it's not 1.5 million degrees in the house. I'm hoping it won't create too much issue, but we'll see. Also, my son is working in the other room, so if there's random background noise, then don't worry about it. It'd be just about as normal as Beans throwing himself into the gate like he just did a little bit ago, or Sugar just breaking into a screaming bark all of a sudden. So, yay. Real life, right? Anyways, let me go over my tools really quickly here. I have a pen from Diamond Pen Pal. You guys see this one all the time. This is the Satura pen. You can find Diamond Pen Pal on Etsy, or links will be down in the description for all my tools like they always are. In my single placer here, I have Ghost from Diamond Painting Daily. This is their insignia over on Etsy. It's like a glue dot. It is white and a liquid, but it is clear and turns solid as it dries like a glue dot. I love this in my single placer, especially for ABs. And then in my multi-placer, I have Tanzanite from Butterfly Effect Wares Putty, also over on Etsy. Because it is very hot and humid outside, that's why I use the Butterfly Effect Wares. Yeah. And then I'm using a tray here. This one is from Firefly, and this is the Switch Mini Max. Don't let the name fool you, you guys. This is actually a really big tray. If you're not like man-handed like I am, you're gonna want to go with just the Switch, not the Switch Mini Max, because it really is more Max than Mini, I'll tell you that. It has a removable lid and a removable trash tray, which I usually do remove just so I don't end up with the trash in my containers when I'm pouring it out. It does have an open and close pour spout right there. Looks like a whistle on the back. Love this thing. And then there is a hole in the top. If you're one of those people that doesn't want to lose your pen having it roll away, you can put it in the little hole. And then the diamond painting that I am working on currently is Moon Eater. Got my light right in the way here. There we go. Moon Eater from Diamond Art Club. This is by Yume. It is a 60 by 78 centimeters. And yeah, it's gorgeous. I love this thing. Having a lot of fun. A lot of 939 though. Let me tell you what. I've just been doing all of my blue kits, I swear. And then the tarot cards, for those of you who are familiar, I read a tarot card as our thought for the week at the end of the WIP and chat. So for now, I'll put these aside because I don't need them. Let me get right into it. How are you guys? How's your week been? It has been hot as Beelzebub's balls around about this part of Wisconsin where I live and where I am from. Well, not from, I live here, but whatever. Very hot. Very, very hot. And, you know, I moved here in 87, okay? And with my move here in 87, I cannot tell you, the weather has definitely changed, okay? And, you know, people scoff at climate change and think what you want to. That's just fine, but I mean, damn, I don't ever remember it being as hot as it's been the last several years here in Wisconsin. It's June, end of June, and so we're really moving into a very hot part of the year here anyways, and then just made even hotter this week. It got up into the high 90s. And, you know, I live in the Midwest, which sounds like it should be middle United States, right? But it really isn't. I live in a northern state in the Midwest. I mean, if you're familiar with America, you probably know where Wisconsin is. It's the one that's shaped like this, like legitimately just like this. And then we have Michigan, which looks like this right next to us, but it's more like a real mitten, and we look like a, I don't know, a glove kind of, but with all the fingers like this. Sort of as north as like New York sort of situation, but it honestly should not be as freaking hot as it is. And then you add in humidity to the heat index, and it's ungodly. And so a lot of my lives I ended up having to cancel because for much of the week I couldn't even sit in diamond paint. Where I am positioned in the house, I'm like in the corner near the stairs. There is the least amount of like air movement in this corner, and it can be just ungodly hot. And so if you were hoping for lives and I didn't have them, I am really, really sorry. I just could not do it. It just too hot. I can't even think straight when I get that hot. A lot of migraines or migraine aura. The body gets just really, really sore with the barometric changes and all of that. We've had some, I guess, not storms necessarily, but, you know, rain that has definitely brought the temperature down some, but not, ugh, you know, you know that it's getting bad when, like, all a person wants to talk about is the weather. I'm one of those people, I don't really mind the cold because at least you can warm up, but when it's hot, like, you can't peel off your skin and get cooler. So, you know, I'll be sitting and just all of a sudden I'm dripping with sweat, which of course when you're a woman who's of a certain kind of age and you already are getting, you know, like hot flashes, add to it the fact that you can't cool down. It's just terrible. I don't know, anybody else like perimenopausal, premenopausal, where you're having issues? Because holy crap, not fun, not a lot of fun. I do not recommend it. I'll put it that way. So right now, all I have on is a, like an air conditioner unit. I don't have like any fans on at the moment. And so, of course, as I'm like sitting here, thankfully I can feel some airflow over here, but whew, man, it can get hot real fast. So who knows, take a break, turn an air conditioner or a fan on for a little bit, and then start up again. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But anyways, but yeah, the week, aside from, you know, being hot as, like I said, Beelzebub's balls, not too much happens because, you know, when it is that hot and we've had heat advisories, things like that, where it's like dangerous to go outside, you know, I don't go outside a whole lot. I spend a lot of time indoors. But let me see, what sorts of fun things can I tell you about from the week? Okay, so the biggest kind of hot topic, right? No pun intended regarding the weather, but the biggest hot topic recently has been the newest Diamond Art Club mystery box that they put out for the summer, which, you know, if I had $130 to spend on it, absolutely would do. And even though I had just the strangest feeling in my gut prior to that mystery coming out, I'm like, I have this feeling that they're going to stick a Morales in there, and I'm going to be devastated because, you know, I don't have $130 even to risk on a chance to get one of these mystery boxes, much less, you know, a $200 for somebody reselling it. So I am not going to lie, I had a bit of a moment. And let me preface this by talking a little bit about FOMO. I think it's important to bring up because I feel like in a lot of ways my thoughts and feelings around FOMO have shifted or balanced, I guess, a little bit over time, with a lot of growth, a lot of thought. But that isn't to say that I'm not a human being who doesn't also have emotions, or, that I don't get caught up. Okay. So prior to my discussing the Morales being in the mystery and things like that, I want to talk about FOMO, okay? Because if you would have asked me, even 6 months ago, what I think about FOMO, how I feel about FOMO, the realistic, like, part of it, I would have probably told you that FOMO marketing is evil. And yeah, I would use a word like evil. Probably would use the word evil. That it's a really gross tactic that businesses use in order to part victims from their money. Now, I don't think that I can say that now. I think that FOMO marketing, FOMO, for those who are completely in the dark about what that means, it stands for the fear of missing out. Okay. And for a person who is like me, an addict in recovery, FOMO marketing is dangerous, okay? Because a person who has addictive tendencies for anything, really, can be more susceptible to that type of marketing, because part of the whole fear of missing out is isolation. Human beings are social creatures. We do not like to be left out of things, and whatever the group is doing, we tend to want to follow the pack. We want to join in. We want to be a part, right? Humans are susceptible to a lot of these types of things because we want to be a part. And we don't want to miss out on things because then we're not part of the group, right? Well, as a recovering addict, it almost is worse, because I already have a tendency toward making poor decisions with regard to drugs and alcohol. And because as an addict alcoholic, your brain does not function to create dopamine the same way that a person who has a normally functioning brain would do, okay? So the whole reason that people become addicts and alcoholics is because they're attempting to kind of boost those receptors. And for people who are like addict alcoholics or have tendencies toward those things, shopping has just as much of a boost sometimes and a high for people as a drug would or alcohol would. Now, if you had asked me again 6 or 7 months ago, I would have told you that FOMO marketing is a responsibility of the business, it's gross, etc. And after I've really spent some time in recovery and, having thought through with a more, I guess, level mind since I've been sober, I can honestly say that when it comes to FOMO marketing and those tactics, the onus is on me as the consumer to control that sort of behavior. And it sucks to say it, because I want to be mad at somebody else for essentially tricking me, right? Quote unquote, tricking me into a purchase that I, quote, didn't want, when really I did. I just needed an excuse to buy it. It does fall on me, right? But that being said, I do wish that companies would not use it so aggressively, because people like me, I mean, people nowadays are addicted to things and they don't even realize it. Addicted to screens, addicted to lying, making up fake personas online, or addicted to shopping online or not online, in person, addicted to pornography or whatever, right? And because we are in a kind of virtual world, and we no longer just go around and just have physical cash dollars to pay for things. Like, you don't, yeah, we used to have checkbooks and things like that, but there was a more physical aspect to the way that you'd spend your money. And now, because the money is invisible, it can almost feel like it's not real, right? Now, please keep in mind that everything that I say is my own opinion. I am not a professional. I am just speaking on my experiences. So if what I'm saying is complete bunk to you, that is totally okay. I'm really only speaking from my own experiences. In fact, all of my whip and chats are that way, if you hadn't gathered. It's more or less me just talking through my crap, and you're along for the ride. So I apologize if this is just totally not working for you. Maybe you'll like the next one better. But I had an experience with FOMO in a recent way. I really, and I talked about it before, when there was a Color Out of Place released, and I'm a Color Out of Place collector. I like to collect all their pieces, but really, like, the money was there, but I felt myself starting to, like, just old familiar feelings, okay? And associated with addiction. And I was with Dustin, this was a couple weeks ago. I had talked to you guys about, instead I decided to go hiking, and I didn't think about it and whatnot, and it worked, right? And I've said time and time again, there's only one artist that I really, like, I get anxious and angry, and I get in my feelings about, and that's Margaret Morales. And so when a Margaret drops, I want to be able to own that piece, because that's the one artist that I feel very strongly about. And if you've known me for any length of time, you already know this, right? Well, so back to the mystery box drops. And one, like I said, I don't have $130 to drop on a mystery, so I don't even have a shot of a seat at the table. And two, I don't have a couple $100 to throw down. And I've seen them on Mercari. This is no joke. I've seen this Morales from the mystery, and she's gorgeous. It's Night Melody is the name of it, and she's just beautiful. I've seen people on Mercari selling it for $225, and people have paid that. That is the FOMO marketing where it gets ugly, right? Because even though, you know, ultimately Diamond Art Club is just trying to basically say to people, we could put any artist in here, including your favorites, one that honestly they would make more money just selling outright and restocking and whatever, because people will buy it. But they want to make sure that we know that at any time there could be any artist put into one of these mysteries. And so from a money standpoint, I absolutely understand. Like, they're a business. They're in the business of making money. It's a money decision. You do what you do. I can't be mad at a business for wanting to make money, right? I can be mad at myself for being emotional or as attached. I mean, I have a bunch of diamond paintings already, etc., etc. Talk myself off a ledge, talk myself off a ledge, talk myself off a ledge, because even though, you know, on the one hand, it's like, Naomi, it's a diamond painting. Like, get over it. It's just a diamond painting. And on the other hand, it's also something that I really badly want. I'm mad because I don't have money. I'm mad because it was put into a mystery box and now I won't have any chance at getting it. And on and on and on. And still, all of those feelings are 100% on me to, I can't control what happens. I can control the way that I respond to what happens. And in this instance, my first reaction was not pretty. It was not great. And I am taking responsibility for that, and I'm throwing myself at the mercy of the court to understand that I'm a human being who still feels and makes mistakes. And so, I really just had this, like, pardon, a shitty storm cloud over my head, pretty much all day. And I was thinking, really mean thoughts. I was not being myself. I wasn't feeling like myself. I was feeling really angry. And I talked to a friend, who consequently did not laugh at me when I talked about it, and was very supportive in the way I was feeling, and wasn't feeding my fire by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly didn't like, oh yeah, you crashed out really hard there. It was I understand your human emotions, your human feelings. And I told them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a deep breath. I'm going to recenter my thoughts and try to readjust the way that I'm feeling and thinking, because maybe if I change the thoughts and the feelings, I can change the outcome ultimately. And maybe somehow, some way, there's going to be somebody out there who does not want this Morales and is going to be willing to trade for something that maybe I have that they might want. I don't know if you guys can hear Beans right now over there, like, whining. It's pretty terrible. I'm going to continue on and hopefully he's going to stop. I had to pause to ask him what his problem was, and he's just... Anyways. So I went for a W. I don't want to say the W word next to him because maybe that's his problem. I don't know. I went for a WALK because he can't spell. He's a dog. And that still has not stopped him from this high-pitched tea kettle sound that he's making right now. Hold on. Okay, I went and patted his head. Maybe he'll stop now. Oh, now he's up. Walking around. Hold on. Sorry, looked like he was limping for a second. Anyways, he's fine. He was just like Eeyore there for a second. Anyway, I went for a walk and I kind of recentered, and I reminded myself of the things that I'm grateful for in my life, and just really needed a recalibration, because I was in a really, really shitty mood. And it really honestly helped things. I got myself refocused. I thought, okay, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'll figure it out, or I won't. But I'm gonna have to get over it because I can't make something out of nothing. So his dog, he is being so ridiculous right now, you guys. I can't even describe. What a goofy dog. Anyways, and I managed to, like I said, get myself recentered, refocused. I got back home. I put up a post, and then on Reddit, because I run a D-Stash group on Reddit. I thought, well, you know, hey, maybe there's some small chance somebody will see it and they'll take pity on me and want to get rid of their Morales. Well, so as it turned out, I had let the friend that I was talking to know, like, kind of what I was willing to part with, and maybe if she could keep an eye out for somebody who might be interested in making a trade for XYZ, you know, that I'm down. So, whatever. Well, in some sort of act of crazy, crazy luck, two things happened. One, she found somebody that we thought was going to trade for one of my very rare kits, and it didn't actually end up being that. She wanted to trade something that was actually just an out-of-stock kit, and that floored me, honestly floored me. And it wasn't like I duped this person. She knew that what she was trading for was something really valuable, that she could have turned around and sold it for something ridiculous, but that's not what she wanted to do. She wanted to trade for something that she was looking for. I wanted to trade for something I was looking for, and it worked out as a deal. And I felt like in that moment, one, grateful for a very, very good friend. Two, it made me want to pass that forward. And if I could help somebody else find the kit, then I was going to do that. And also, it made me realize that sometimes, honestly, just changing your behaviors, and just like I've learned in cognitive behavioral therapy, that if you change the behaviors, then the result will be different. And that really was the case. And sometimes it's really just about putting some positive out in the world and getting some positive back. And not in diminishing returns. So I'm very grateful. You know who you are, that was able to help me get a trade for my kit. And then what ended up happening was somebody reached out to me on Reddit, and the person who helped me out, I was able to help that person out and made sure that they got one as well. Because the deal that came in on Reddit, I ended up passing along to them. So it worked out. I had helped a couple of other people, you know, wherever I could. I helped other people find kits that they were looking for, because that feeling that I was dealing with, I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. And I'm not trying to feed this FOMO that I have, or that really nasty beast that I was feeling. I really needed to prioritize myself and honestly think about what it was that I was looking to lose or gain, like really just get my head on straight. And it happened again. I made a little squeaky sound with my chair. It happened again yesterday. So the color out of place that I missed initially on its, and I didn't miss it. I chose not to buy it. Well, it restocked and I wanted to get it, but my phone decided it no longer wanted to charge with a charging cord. Yeah, it was like middle of the night. It decides it's no longer going to work. So I had to, well, first I thought it was the battery on my phone because it was connecting to my computer. Like it was recognizing that it was plugged in to the computer, but it wasn't charging. So I was like, that's weird. So I thought it was my battery. I was convinced actually that it was my battery. Beans, stop scratching the floor. Excuse me. I swear, this dog. He's just pitching fits. Don't mind him. Yeah, I thought it was the battery at first. Excuse me. I got lost track of my thoughts there for a second. I thought it was my battery. It was not the battery, but I didn't know that. It was the charging port. However, what I decided to do, it was like middle of the dang night, and I'm like, what place is open 24 hours? Thinking like, maybe I'll see if it will work on a wireless charger, because I figured if it was the port, then at least it would be able to charge on a wireless charger. Well, I'll get into that in a minute, how wrong I was about that. Well, I go get a wireless charger. The wireless charger does not work. I'm like, what in the heck is going on here? Okay, I must need a new battery. I convinced myself it was the battery. Because again, it was connecting to the computer, but it wasn't like charging. It would start to charge on a fast charger, but it wouldn't keep charging. So I'm like, all right, I don't know what the hell's going on. I made an appointment with a place called Batteries Plus. I don't know if you're familiar, if you have a Batteries Plus where you are, but they do all kinds of batteries. They do like phone batteries, car batteries, they do batteries, just any kind of batteries. Well, I made an appointment with Batteries Plus because it said that they had the battery that I needed in store, set up the appointment, you know, whatever. Well, I go to the store today, actually, it was today, and I'm talking to the guy at the counter, and he's like, you don't have an appointment. I was like, I set up an appointment online. I don't know what you're talking about, but like, can you help me regardless? He's like, yeah, we can help you, but let me first make sure that we have this part. And I'm thinking like, well, it allowed me to make an appointment, said you had the part. I would assume you have the part. Nope. He goes looking, he can't find it. I'm like, what in the actual heck? And at this point, I had turned my phone off overnight, and I think I might have had, I don't know, 6% battery at this point. Because, you know, I had wanted to keep it off and figured I wasn't going to use it unless I absolutely had to. And he basically made me look up on my email the confirmation for this appointment, which I found. And said, like, here you go. It shows the appointment. It shows that you have the part, you know, yada, yada, yada. Well, so he doesn't find the part that he's looking for. And he's telling me, well, because I asked him, like, well, where else can I go? Like, what can I do? I need my phone. I had my live today. I have to record my WIP and chats. You know, I use my phone for everything with regard to my business, which is the YouTube channel. And he's like, well, I'm like, it looks like they have one in Love's Park, which is, for me, like a 45-minute drive. And he's like, well, they're a franchise store, and so we don't have, like, we can't exchange parts with them. I'm like, okay, well, how quickly can you get it? He's like, no, it's going to be a couple of days. I got to get it from Green Bay, which I'm here on the state. Like, if this is the bottom of the state, I'm here. Green Bay is here. And that's like a 4-hour drive kind of from where I'm at. And I was like, I can't do 2-3 days. I can't do that. I'm like, so I'm like, can you do me a favor and look up on your computer, because he had his computer up in front of him, can you Google and see if there's one at like the iFixit store in the mall? And he's like, no, I'm not able to do that. And I'm thinking, like, what kind of a customer service person are you? I think he was so drawn to the idea that I needed to get my battery from them that he wasn't willing to help me in any way. So, needless to say, will not be going back there for any sort of assistance, because they did shit all in helping me with my problem. Well, like I said, I had like 6% left on my phone. I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to call. I'm only a few blocks away from the mall at this point. I'll just drive over there and find out whether or not they have one in the mall. So I have my phone still off. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get there, whatever. I get there. Yes, they have the battery that I need. Well, first he was just gonna sell me the battery. And I was like, well, let me know, what would it cost? You know, do you have the toolkit to be able to, because a battery isn't just like you open it up, you change the battery like you would in a remote control. It's actually like a whole thing. And you need to have small screwdrivers, and you need to have the right tools to do the job. You don't need like soldering irons or anything like that, but it's more than just you open the back, you stick it in there, okay? Well, no, he doesn't have the toolkit, and it was going to be $30 some for the battery, and then $89.99 to do the replacement. I was like, holy crap. I mean, okay, I don't have a choice, so go ahead and do that. He's like, okay, give me 20 minutes. I go wander around the absolute ghost town that our mall has become, because there's basically no dang stores in it anymore. Like, everything that was there is gone. The Zoomies is gone. The Rue 21, I guess, went bankrupt. Like, everything is gone in the freaking mall, except for a couple of stores. And so I go wander around, like, this ghost town of a mall for 20 minutes. I come back, and he's got it. He's got the battery changed in it. And he's like, here you go. And I'm like, okay, great. You know, can you do me a favor and plug it in and make sure that it's going to work? And he's like, sure. So he goes over, he plugs it in, nothing happens. It will not charge. And I was like, well, crap. You know, and I'm asking him, like, well, what about the port? Because he had basically tried to explain to me that it couldn't be the port if it was speaking to my computer. And I was like, well, but what doesn't make sense to me is the fact that the wireless charging didn't work. Because, you know, it should work, right? If it's not, well, no. Because I thought at a store called iFixit that they would know stuff about phones. Yeah, they really don't. Aside from the, you know, like, I can fix your screen, I can replace your battery, I can replace your charging port. They don't know anything about phones, not really. So I did some Google foo with the now 4% phone that I have left. Come to find out that the reason that a wireless charger wouldn't work is that there is like some sort of a chip mechanism that's in the charging port itself that the wireless charger speaks to. So if the charging port is dead, then the wireless charger also cannot speak to the phone. Well, I explained this to him, and he's like, okay, well, then it's got to be the port. And I was like, all right, well, wait a minute, because you just replaced a battery that I didn't need replaced. How much is it going to cost for me to get a charging port and then, like, repair on that and whatever? Well, he did agree that he would put back in my old battery, which is fine, and then he would only charge me for the, like, repair to do the port and the piece, which all told was $94, which, ouch. But I can't live without my phone. Again, it's like basically my whole business runs on my phone. So I'm like, okay, you know, it is what it is. I'll take it. You know, I had no choice at that point. He had me over a barrel, and really, if he had decided to go, well, I changed out your battery, I'm going to charge you for both, what would I have done at that point? Well, I told him I'd give him a good Yelp review, and I did. You know, a good review or whatever for helping me out. But, oh my goodness, it just, ugh, just bad. Just bad, bad, bad. But you know what? I'm grateful it was not a full phone repair or like full phone replacement. It could have been so much worse. And there again, it was one of those, you make choices. Oh, I forgot to even tell you, when it came to the Morales, okay, here's what's stupid about that whole situation. The kit that I traded for the Morales, I had almost sold that morning, and I didn't. I had this feeling in my gut, like, just slow down. Slow down. I know you want a little money, and see if you can buy the Morales, but I'm so glad I didn't end up, you know, selling it so I could trade it, because it cost me so much less in that way than having to buy it. Oh my goodness. And it was the same with this situation. It was like I could have purchased a kit on restock with the little teeny bit of money that I would have had left over to spend on it, and I didn't, and then I ended up having to get my phone repaired. So sometimes life just doesn't need to be full throttle. And I always have to remind myself of that. I'm one of those people that, like, I make rash and hasty decisions sometimes, and I just have to remember that sometimes giving something full thought is the better way to do it. I've really learned a lot about myself, my tolerance. Now, granted, I'm saying all of this after everything has worked out, right? The Morales should be at my house by the time that you're watching this. I'm probably unboxing it. And everything worked out. So, like, of course I'm in this great mood, right? Of course I feel fine. I'm really hoping that I don't get tested in a way where I have to be without a Morales like that, to have to put myself through it. But I really do think that I have felt a change. I feel a change within me, and things are not the same. Is that the lyrics to the Wicked song? I don't know. And yeah, I hope that doesn't happen where I've gotta, ow, I just pinched the shite out of myself with my container. That hurted. Ew. Well, I went to close it and it pinched my finger, like, ow. Anyway, not even your problem, my problem. Yeah. I really hope that there's not a situation where I need to find out for real how I would feel if it didn't work out. But it worked out this time. I'm glad it worked out. And I think, really, truly, and honestly, I think sometimes it is just a matter of changing your attitude, and maybe things will change for the better. Because I'll tell you that there were a lot of times when things were very bleak, and instead I made bad decisions, and it was because I didn't like the way I was thinking or feeling. So I thought, let's change the way I'm thinking or feeling, but with the use of drugs or alcohol. And now I don't turn to that anymore. And because I'm going to tell you what, there is nothing in this world that drugs or alcohol are going to make better. That's for dang sure. And then finally, I had a recent situation on my Discord, and I don't often talk about Discord. Like, I don't tend to talk in detail about things that happen on Discord, because Discord is separate from YouTube. But it's my Discord, and I can talk about my Discord stuff if I want to, because it's mine. I was I just closed that, and I want to make sure that this is the right color. I'm pretty sure it was, yeah, okay. I don't know why I put it away. I needed it. I got called pathetic today. It was a person whom had been, and this isn't a person that watches my channel that I'm aware of. So I mean, and if the person is watching this and is like upset with me still, maybe this will help to see things from a different perspective. At least I hope so, because the point is not to trash a person or make a person feel crap about themselves, but I do hope that at the very least maybe it can offer some insight into where my mind was and what was going on. A person called me pathetic today because I had made it on my Discord so that a person could not see a specific channel on the Discord, that being voice chat. And the reason I did that is because prior to tonight, and in fact the last time that they were in Discord, and in fact every time that they had been in the voice chat, the person was really heavily intoxicated. And even though they made attempts at lying to me and saying that they had not in fact been drinking, that they were enjoying a vape, or no, I'm just sitting here having some 7-Up or whatever, I heartily disagree. I know, because I've spent enough of my time both being intoxicated heavily and being around people who are intoxicated heavily, because my mom was an alcoholic. I struggled with alcohol, and I've worked in bars, running karaoke. Like, I know what a person sounds like and acts like when they're intoxicated. And multiple times, very firmly and respectfully, I asked this person not to be drunk in my voice chat. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, I think you can figure out why. And consistently disregarding my asking, the person would come into voice chat, and I don't even think that they realized, one, their volume when they would come in, the way that they sounded slurred, the way that they couldn't remember conversations we'd had the day before, and for lack of better description, the person was messy, really messy. And I tried to be supportive, but I realized a long time ago that being supportive, there's a difference between being supportive and being an enabler, and not standing up for my beliefs and not standing up for the other people who are in my Discord who also struggle with, being in recovery. That I have myself and those people to look out for, and so I can't put myself in harm's way just to try and be supportive to a person who is not doing anything in steps for themselves. And so if that person is watching this, and not as a call out, I forgive you for calling me pathetic. Maybe you don't care. But part of getting sober and making amends is asking for that particular forgiveness and not doing it again. And now there is no opportunity because that person, after calling me pathetic, was banned. Pathetic because I had them so that they couldn't join our voice chat. And the reason is that I am approaching 6 years sober. I'm very proud to get there, and I don't ever forget the journey that it took. But I know that that journey never starts until you make the decision for yourself to make those changes. I can't make them for you. But I also can't idly sit by and watch a person tear themselves to pieces and not either A, say something, which obviously asking them not to come into my voice chat drunk, and then 2, saying to them, like, just saying, oh, well, I only drink on the weekends, or I only drink on days that end with Y, or I only drink when it's, 45 degrees outside, is called bargaining. And for me to sit here and go, oh, it's fine that you drink only on the weekends, even though you're an alcoholic, that's enabling, and I'm not going to do that. And if that's pathetic, then so be it. I'm sorry that you feel that way. But I have to protect myself and my sobriety because I worked very hard to get it. And then I have to protect those people around me who are also on a recovery journey themselves. And so I am reclaiming my time, reclaiming my space, and I very respectfully left the Discord that person began. Because I didn't want nor need to create further drama about it. And if there are others who are or think themselves involved, or they're looking for some sort of drama about it or whatever, beyond my stating this only to say that I need to protect my sobriety and the people in the Discord, because it's my space to do that. That's all I was trying to do. And there was a person who I guess sent them a screenshot so that they could see that they weren't able to see the voice chat. I don't know that that person was looking to start drama. Maybe they were just asked, like, what's going on? Can you see what's going on? And they responded with a screenshot. And that's, I mean, it is what it is. If it was malicious, well, I wish that you wouldn't stay around because I don't want the drama. But if it wasn't malicious, like, I hope that was an explanation. Maybe you're not even seeing this. I don't know. But no hard feelings. I just don't want any drama. That's really what it is. And I'm looking to protect myself and the people who come to my Discord wanting to talk about diamond painting, and not to worry about people who might be under the influence of heavy drugs or alcohol while they're in there. Because I have to protect them. That's all. So anyway, I hope that was succinct enough an explanation. And if it wasn't, I mean, I don't really have to explain further than that, right? And I'm not even bringing it up here to make drama. I'm just, because I have kind of cut off communication with that person to cut out any drama. I at least wanted it said so that if it's like a big question mark or whatever, that's what happened and why it happened. And I didn't think that going out in like the public area of my Discord and calling me pathetic for all of like my people who view my YouTube videos, and even the people who are in the Discord that don't, that are just there for community to read, I just thought was really childish when the whole reason that that had happened was that person's own doing. So, anyway, it just, a lot of things regarding sobriety have come up this week for me and my journey and where I am and how I'm doing. And it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes I don't think about my sobriety until it's the day to celebrate the year coming around again. But a lot of things this week that have really put my sobriety journey into sharp focus. And I'm grateful every day that I don't have to make those decisions anymore. That I have a choice to say no, and I do every day. You know? Anyway, let me get at this tarot card because I am very curious as to what we've got coming up in our card for the week. But let me stick down this last. There we go. Okay. Set those there. All right. These have already been shuffled. So let's see what we get here. All right. It is... Oh, that gnome. Oh, why does he look so grumpy? Kind of looks like Dustin, actually. That's kind of funny. Because he can do the eyebrow thing, and he also has... Well, his beard isn't quite that long, but... Yeah. He can look like a grumpy little gnome sometimes, I'll tell you what. Okay. 26. Let's see what... Oh, that gnome. Actually, let me set him right there so you can see him. There we go. 26. It is there. Trickster, creative chaos, wild gifts, breaking habits and patterns are the key words. Let me get a drink. All right, there we go. It's time to leap into the air, letting the earth turn beneath you and discover where you come down again. Reasonable risks are okay. Even unreasonable risks are probably okay. Use your head and look before you leap, of course, but do so understanding that the actual jump is likely to be very rewarding. No guarantees, but then there never really are anyway. No matter how pretty the paper they may seem to be printed on and the scroll work around the edge. In a reading, the presence of that gnome tells us that the forces of chaos are at work. Uh-oh. Things may not be as they seem, and this may very well be a good thing. Look for the unexpected, find the opportunity in it, and go for it. He says that no matter how confused things may seem, there is a way to make them better. But it is a creative way, one that you haven't tried before. He says, think amazing new thoughts. Interesting. Yeah. I like it. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes fools accomplish things that angels thought impossible. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Look for the unexpected, find the opportunity in it, and go for it. And you know, sometimes it is about making a judgment call in that moment. Sometimes it's about looking for an opportunity and going for it. And that whole look before you leap. Yeah, look before you leap, but don't forget to leap. I had a really wonderful teacher who, and I've said this before, I'll say it a million times, a teacher at the Renaissance Fair when I was a actor/director there. And he said, I want you to go out and fail, but fail spectacularly. Fail beautifully so that you learn and you grow. Because if you don't fail, you don't learn. And man, has that been absolutely correct in my life. And I'm going to leave you with that. If you fail, fail spectacularly and fail beautifully, because you never know what lesson might come from it. But that's all I got for you this time, you guys. I thank you for hanging out with me. And as ever, I hope that wherever you are in this great, big, wide, wonderful, chaotic world of ours, that you are having I hope it's a cool and breezy morning, evening, or afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. All right, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.